there's just kind of like this whole stigma around insurance in general of like, oh, the insurance salesman that's in the suit and tie and super uptight and stuffy and unrelatable that you just maybe talk to maybe once a year. And that's not really the industry. I know, like, for us, the very first time we bought like a life insurance policy, we were probably what, I don't know, 25 or something like that.
Yeah, it was not too long after we bought our first house.
Yeah, we just bought our first house and no one talked to us about life insurance really. And so it was kind of like, oh, I definitely had this thought of like, oh, this old insurance salesman that's like super stuffy. But we actually got connected with somebody that was young, that was our age. And he talked to us about mortgage protection and, you know, why we would want to put just really like a few bucks a month towards a life insurance policy in case something happened to us. And that was my first introduction really to insurance, an insurance agent. And I now kind of think back on that experience. Like, first we had no education at all about insurance, especially about life insurance and why we would need it.
But thank goodness school taught me who the Queen of England was in the
yes,
1200s.
I'm
thank
very,
goodness,
very glad
that's come
for
in
that
handy a lot, right?
I use it all the time, right?
No, and I think you're right. Like, it's people's experience with it, and even coming back to like one of the notable news areas that we talked about with health insurance as well. Like, medical debt is one of the leading
the number
causes
one thing that makes people go bankrupt
so
in
like
the U.S. is medical debt.
And medical debt as well. And so that's where, you know, they feel like companies are going to cover and help take care of them. And then in reality, they get denied. They end up going in debt, and it just causes massive life issues. They're not able to get treatments and stuff. And they don't understand always even why, you know, right? They feel like they're paying for something, they're not getting something. And, you know, part of this, I think, comes down to education. Part of it just comes down to the industry, in some cases, like a severe lack of empathy. And then, yeah, I mean, I think some of it comes down to just the approach and marketing and everything of the industry in general. So I know the different lines of insurance, but in general, I don't think any particular area is like, oh, looked favorably upon and people absolutely love it, right?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I just think about from like the consumer's perspective on that, of that, you know, it's just something like it's a nuisance. And then it's even beyond that people literally feel like they're getting ripped off, especially with things like, so like the assassination for sure with the United Healthcare CEO. But also like what's happened recently is like the California wildfires, and that there's, first off, just tons of misinformation that's being spread about that. But that people in general have this distrust towards the insurance industry because claims are getting denied and people are losing their homes. And it's like, well, I've been paying for this, you know, homeowner's policy, but I have to wait forever to, you know, even get repairs done to my house because I'm waiting for insurance money, or I completely lost my house, and insurance companies are looking at ways that they can deny claims and ultimately not pay out. But I got a theory, not a theory, but there's quite a few things that I feel like I want to say about this. And one of the biggest things that I think is an issue here is that a lot of consumers choose to not work with agents. So they decide that they're just going to buy insurance off a website, off, you know, the internet. They don't want to talk to somebody, and they're going for the cheapest thing that they can possibly find. And something that has really opened my eyes in the, how many years now? 7 years, I think, that we've been working with insurance agents in their marketing, is just really deeply understanding the important work that agents do in educating their clients on proper coverages. Because the reality is that the cheapest thing is usually not the best thing. And so when people are opting for these, these cheaper policies that are cutting corners. They don't even know what type of coverage they have because they're not working with an agent that really cares about them and is taking the time to properly educate them. And so that's why I personally feel very, very connected to our mission to help agents brand themselves, market themselves well, because the clients that we work genuinely care about their clients and making sure that they're properly protected.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why we're talking about this in the first place, right? I think you made a good point. Like when there's not that education there, then when everything seems the same to you, you go with the cheapest, right? That
Sure.
makes sense. But if I understand the differences, then I understand why that doesn't make sense. It's not apples to apples, necessarily. But so why are we talking about this in general? Like, okay, I get it. People maybe don't like insurance.